Sir, your mic is mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Okay, fine. Huh. Good morning. After a long time, we are meeting for the strength of material lecture. Earlier, there was some technical difficulty, and after that, for 8 days, I was out of town. Okay. Uh, Now, from our syllabus point of view, we have completed the stress and strain, simple stresses and strain, or direct stresses and strain, and second lesson SFD BMD. For SFD BMD, one last part is remaining, that is the shear force and bending moment diagram for the beam having the internal hinges. Clear? Very rarely the question asked on that, but I'm going to teach you that part also. Okay. Now, our CO1 course outcomes 1 is to students should be familiar with the direct stresses and strain. Or CO2 is related to shear force and bending moment diagram, and our CO3 is related to the bending stresses, shear stresses, and twisting moment. Okay, so some part of the CO3 we are going to cover before the test. Here in CO3, we have to finish the 3 parts: shear stresses, bending stresses, and the twisting moment, that is the torsion. Yeah, but out of that 3 part, the one part, that is the bending stresses, here we'll keep it for the test. Here, so your test will be based on CO1, direct stresses and strain, entire lesson, CO2, shear force and bending moment, entire lesson except the shear force and bending moment for the beam with an internal hinge, and CO3 bending stresses. Here, so today I'm going to start the bending stresses. Here today almost I will try to finish the entire theory, which is very, very important, and tomorrow and day after tomorrow we'll finish few sums on the bending stresses. Okay, this is my plan. It may require to conduct few more or extra lectures, and this lecture is for only B division and for the civil student. Okay. For A division, Ashish Chaudhary sir is conducting the lectures here because we are facing some difficulties in Microsoft Team also. In Microsoft Team, there is a facility to accommodate the more number of students, but we are facing some difficulty in Microsoft Teams also. And in Google Meet, there are limitations of only 100 students. Okay. So A division sir is taking, if they want, they can refer this video. I'm going to upload this video on the Google Classroom also. Okay. Then, so today we are going to learn or study about the bending stresses. Before starting the bending stresses, I would like to revise the things what we have studied before this. And I also expect from you also, you just go through the previous lessons either through books or by videos here. But the first thing is that you should be very much familiar about the moment of inertia. Here, refer first and first 2 or 3 lectures for the moment of inertia, because without moment of inertia we can't proceed further now. In each and every sum you need to calculate the moment of inertia. Here in 5 minutes I will cover that part also, moment of inertia, what we have studied. Here, so the moment of inertia of a plane area. Suppose consider this is one random area. If I consider a small elemental part here, this is the dA, which is at a distance of y from this axis. Let this axis is AB. Okay, then the moment of this area, which is equal to this distance into area. If I multiply by that area by the distance from that axis where we are taking the moment. Here, so AB is the axis about which the moment being taken. Here, so the moment of the area about the AB is given by y into dA. This is known as the first moment of the area, and which is important, or with the help of this moment we can calculate the centroid. Here in centroid, what we are written A1 Y1, actually this term, or A1 X1, actually this term is nothing but a moment of the area. Okay, so this term, the basic formulas of the centroid is calculated by using this concept only. Okay, then if I take the second moment of this area, second moment of area. Here for second moment, this is the first moment. If I again multiply by the distance, this becomes the second moment of the area. So the second moment of area can be written as y square dA, and the second moment of the area is known as the moment of inertia. This moment of inertia is denoted by I, and the axis about which the moment being taken can be written as a suffix to that I, because it is very important. Only the moment of inertia has no meaning, because the moment of inertia of any area with respect to the different axes are different. That's why it is mandatory to write down this reference or that line or axis about which the moment being taken. So IAB refer as the second moment or the moment of inertia about the axis AB, which is equal to y square dA. Okay. Now this becomes the moment of inertia of this small elemental area dA. If I want to calculate the moment of inertia of this entire area here, then we have to take such type of number of areas and we have to add them here. And to do that, instead of doing that, we can integrate this. So the moment of inertia of this entire area gives you the integration of y square dA. Here, so remember this thing, this we are going to use in today's derivation. Here, so moment of inertia about any axis here is given by integration of y square dA. This y is the distance of that area from this axis AB, where the moment being taken. Here, so integration of y square dA, which is the second moment of the area, gives you the moment of inertia. Here, this moment of inertia plays a very significant role here when the component is subjected to the bending stress. Here, when the component is subjected to the bending moment. Here, in first lecture itself, we have discussed that in case of the column, why the depth is more than the width. Here, I told you the reason here why depth is more than the width. Here, so if for any cross section, here for the cross section, if the moment of inertia is more, actually today I am going to tell you one more term, that is the section modulus, which is related to the moment of inertia itself. Yes, but for time being, you can say that if for any cross section, if the moment of inertia is more, for any cross section, if the moment of inertia is more, that cross section is more stronger against bending. Understood? So to make the this column, this beam more stronger against bending, its depth is greater than the width. If you locate it this way, the moment of inertia will be more. But if I, instead of like this, if I use same material, same cross section, but if I use such type of orientation here, then for this cross section, the moment of inertia is less, and that's why it will be less stronger in the bending. Understood? Here I had given you the example also for the scale. Just 1 minute. If you consider this scale here, very easily we can bend it. If I put it like this and if I apply the forces here, very easily it can be bent. Okay, but if I use such type of position here and if I give the support here and if I apply the load, then it is difficult to bend here, because for this area, the moment of inertia for this area, the moment of inertia about this centroidal axis is more than this area, the moment of inertia about this centroidal axis. Here, moment of inertia of this area about this axis and moment of inertia of this area about this axis is different. Here, moment of inertia of this area about this centroidal axis is B d cube by 12. This is D. This is B. Here, if I consider this is B and this is D, then here it is dB cube by 12. And this term will be greater because D is more and it is a cube of that. Here, and that's why this cross-sectional area, if I put it like this, here, then it is more stronger in bending or against bending. Here, so this moment of inertia is very important term here when the component is subjected to the bending moment or bending stresses. Understood? Here, so this is all about the bending moment, moment of inertia. Here in first 1 or 2 lectures, here we have solved few questions on the moment of inertia also. Here, just refer that. Here in this bending stresses, I am not going to tell you how to calculate the moment of inertia. Here we have solved few questions, how to find out the moment of inertia of the T section, I section, about the centroidal axis. Here, do you remember this? Okay, if not, here again go back and refer this. Each and every student should know how to calculate the moment of inertia. Today in bending stresses, I am not going to teach you here or explain you how to calculate the moment of inertia here, because this is only a single step in the sum of bending stresses. Yes, so we'll not waste the time here, because we have covered this part initially only as a bridge program here, and at that time 3 to 4 lectures we have covered on this, conducted on this moment of inertia. Here go through, and everybody should know how to calculate the moment of inertia, first thing. Here, then second thing, in first lesson we have studied the direct stresses. Direct stresses. There are 2 types of direct stresses. One is a tensile and other one is a compressive. Tensile and compressive. Now, what is direct stresses? The stresses induced because of the direct forces or axial forces, the forces which are perpendicular to the cross section. These are known as the direct stresses, or direct forces or the axial forces. And the stresses induced because of these direct forces or axial forces are known as the tensile stresses and the compressive stresses. Here, if the applied force is tensile, the corresponding stresses are the tensile stresses. If the applied forces are compressive, the corresponding stresses are compressive. Okay, you know about this tensile and compressive stresses. Yeah. Now, whenever in any material the tensile stresses are induced or the applied force is tensile in nature, here you know that the material will elongate. Okay, whereas when any component is subjected to the compressive force, or when the compressive stresses are induced, here there will be the, when there is a tensile, here there will be the elongation. And when there is a compressive force or compressive stresses are induced, here the material length will get decreased. Here there will be the decrease in the length, here, or there is a compression. Here it is an increase in length, here it is a decrease in length. Okay, so when any component is subjected to the tensile force or tensile stress, there will be the increase in length of that component. Here, and whereas it is subjected to the compressive force or the compressive stress, there will be the decrease in length. Here we can say vice versa also. Here when I taught this direct stresses at that time, I told you that, yeah, whenever any component is elongated by any reason, okay, the corresponding stresses induced in the component are tensile in nature. Here I said, if tensile stresses are induced, the component will be elongated. Here vice versa, I can say that if any component or any layer or any length is increased or elongate, the corresponding stresses induced are the tensile. Don't unmute. Okay. Next one is the compressive. Here, whenever compressive stresses are there, there is a decrease in length. Or vice versa, we can say that whenever there is a compression, whenever there is a decrease in length, we can say that the induced stresses are compressive. Here, so remember this thing. Okay, because I want to use this concept in the bending stresses. Here, very simple. If I consider, suppose this beam, which is subjected to the bending moment. Here, all of you know that about the bending moment. Here, now because of the bending moment, if it gets bent, here I will consider this. Here, number of layers are there. If I consider it is subjected to the sagging bending moment, because of the sagging bending moment, it will bend like this. Here, yes, a bend hoga. Okay, and because of this bending, sagging hai. Here, this is a case of hogging. Here, let's consider hogging. So when, because of the hogging bending moment, when it will bend like this, here you'll observe that, or just imagine this lower layer are get compressed. Here its length will get decreased. Here, whereas the top layer, here these are the fibers at the top layer. So these fibers at the top layer, here their length will increase. Understood? So because of this bending moment here, since the lower layers are get contracted and upper layer get elongated, we can say that since there is a elongation here, the nature of the stresses induced in the top layer are tensile because they are elongated. Here there are this layer which are at the bottom. Here they are get contracted, they are get compressed, and hence the stresses induced in that layers are compressive. So in this case, what we are going to study in this lesson here, the layers are elongated and compressed. When there is a compression, here the compressive stresses are induced. When there is a elongation, the tensile stresses are induced. But in this lesson, in this case, what I explain you, this elongation or compression here takes place because of the bending moment, not because of the axial forces. Now, since this elongation and contraction takes place because of the bending moment, here these stresses are known as the bending stresses. Okay, so remember one thing, that direct stresses are, the nature of the direct stresses are also tensile and compressive, but these direct stresses are induced because of the direct forces or axial forces. Yeah, whereas the bending stresses are the stresses induced because of the bending moment. Here in bending, because of the bending moment, the component get bent. Here this layer get contracted, this layer get elongated. Now, since this layer gets contracted, so the nature of the stresses induced in this upper layer are compressive, and the stresses induced in the lower layers are tensile. But since these are the stresses induced because of the bending moment, these stresses are known as the bending stresses. So the nature of the bending stresses are also tensile and compressive. Understood this? Have understood this? Okay. So direct stresses, the nature of the direct stresses is also tensile and compressive, but these are the stresses induced because of the axial forces. Similarly, the nature of the bending stresses are also tensile and compressive, but these are the stresses induced because of the bending moment. That's why these are known as the bending stresses. Here, so how can you define the bending stresses? So in very simple language, we can say that the stresses induced because of the bending moment are known as the bending stresses. Here, I'm coming, I'll elaborate this more here, but just this was the introduction about the direct stresses and about the tensile and compressive stresses. Here, so this is important. Just remember, if there is a elongation, the corresponding stresses are tensile. When there is a compression, the corresponding stresses are compressive, and vice versa. Okay. Now, the next revision part is the shear force and bending moment. Here. Shear force and bending moment. You know why shear force and bending moment are induced? Here they are varies along the length of the beam, and that variation we have plotted, which are known as the shear force and bending moment diagram. Here. Now about the shear force, how to calculate the shear force at any particular section of the beam. So shear force is nothing but the algebraic summation of lateral forces. Summation of lateral forces on any one side of the section. Similarly, the bending moment is algebraic summation of moment of the forces on any one side, not on the entire beam. If you take the summation of the moment on the entire beam, it will be 0 because the beam is in the equilibrium. Yeah. So bending moment is the algebraic summation of the moment of forces on any one side of the section. That is the bending moment. Here, you also know that the relation between the shear force and bending moment, and one conclusion we have drawn from that is at the point of zero shear. At the point of zero shear, what happened? Unmute yourself and tell me. At the point of zero shear, what happened? Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what happened at the point of zero shear.
Bending moment is equal to 0.
Oh man, no. Listen. Bending moment is the rate of change of shear force. Jimmy, mute your audio. Bending moment is the rate of change of shear force. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Rate of change of shear force uses the bending moment. Here, slope of the bending moment diagram represent the shear force. ये उल्टा हो गया, sorry. Shear force is the rate of change of bending moment. Here, and rate of change of shear force gives you the loading. Okay. Now, where the shear force is 0, means dm by dx is 0. Here, and when dm by dx is 0, we can say that m is maximum. Means if I write down the equation of bending moment, which is a function of x, and if I differentiate it and equate it with 0, I will get the maximum bending moment. But what is dm by dx? The dm by dx is the shear force. It means that the point at which the shear force is 0, that is the point of 0 shear, here the bending moment is maximum, not 0. Understood? Here,
Yes, sir.
at the point of 0 shear, the bending moment is maximum. Okay. And at the point at which the bending moment is 0, that point is known as the point of contraflexure, where the nature of the bending stresses changes. Here I explained that point also to you at that time. Okay. So at the point of 0 shear, the bending moment is maximum. Here, any doubt? Is that clear about the shear force and bending moment and this direct stresses, tensile, compressive? Yeah. Then for bending moment, here there are two types of bending moment. The sign convention what we have used, we have considered the sagging bending moment as positive and hogging bending moment is negative. Sagging bending moment is the bending moment when the tendency of the moment is to bend the beam concave upward. Whereas when the tendency of the moment is to bend the beam convex upward, it is known as a hogging bending moment, and this we have considered it as a negative. Okay, which is very important now in this bending stresses. Here, because in case of the sagging bending moment, when the part is subjected to the sagging bending moment, here that moment tends to bend the beam concave upward like this. ऐसा bend करने का try करेगा उसको. Clear? अगर ऐसा bend करेगा, तो ये upper layer जो है, here they are getting compressed. Can you imagine this? Here, and because of that, when it is sagging bending moment, when the component is subjected to the sagging bending moment, the upper layer gets compressed, and in upper layer the compressive stresses are induced, and in lower layer tensile stresses are induced. Whereas when there is a hogging bending moment, when the movement tends to bend the beam convex upward, here upper layer gets elongated and the tensile stresses are induced in the upper layer and compressive stresses are induced in the lower layer. Have you understood this concept? Okay. Okay, so this was just a revision. Now, we have to study the bending stresses in this lesson. So I already told you that the stresses induced because of the bending moment are known as the bending stresses. Here, I'll give again. I'll give the example. Let's consider suppose this part is subjected to the sagging bending moment. Here, because of the sagging bending moment, it will bend like this. Here, this upper layer is in compression, lower layer is in tension. Here compressive stresses are induced, here tensile stresses are induced. Here, if I show the cross section, this cross section, if I show this cross section, here this upper layer is in compression, lower layer is in tension. Here, actually these are the stresses induced because of the bending moment. Here, that's why these are known as the bending stresses. Understood? Here, how to calculate that bending stresses and what is that bending stresses? Here, all these things will again further study later. Here, now let's proceed further and let me explain you about the pure bending. Let's consider the next point, pure bending. What is meant by pure bending? Okay, it is also known as a simple bending. Here, now let's consider one example. Consider this is a simply supported beam carrying the point load at the middle. The point load at the middle. Here, if I draw the shear force diagram for this, Here I told you that how to draw the shear force diagram directly. Okay, this is the shear force diagram. This will be the W by 2. This is W by 2. This shear force is W by 2. This is minus W by 2. Okay, this is the shear force diagram. And if I draw the bending moment diagram for this, here the bending moment at this left end is 0, bending moment at the right hand is 0, and here the bending moment is maximum because the shear force is 0. Here and here the bending moment is for the simply supported beam carrying the point load at the middle. Here the maximum bending moment is WL by 4. Here, because this is L by 2, this is L by 2. Here the bending moment is maximum. Directly I can say that. The bending moment is maximum at this point C. Why? Because the shear force is 0. Understood? Here, and how much is that maximum bending moment? If I calculate the bending moment here, it is W by 2 into L by 2. So WL by 4. Here it is the algebraic summation of the moment of all forces on any one side of the section. So I have considered the section section at point C and considering the forces on left hand side. So this is the only one force whose moment is WL by 2 into L by 2, that is WL by 4. Now since it is in a horizontal straight line, this will be the inclined straight line, this will also be the inclined straight line. So this is the bending moment diagram here, and the maximum bending moment is at a point C, which is WL by 4. Concept is here. Now we'll observe that for throughout the beam AB, at any section of the beam AB, you will observe that it is subjected to the bending moment. But along with that bending moment, each section is subjected to the shear force also. Here, this is the case of combined shear force and bending moment. Every section is subjected to the shear force as well as bending moment. Here, let's consider another case. Let's consider this is a simply supported beam. Here, let this load is W. Let this is also W. Let this is L by 3, L by 3, and L by 3. Symmetrical. Okay, just for simplicity. Okay, if I consider this beam here, and because of symmetry, this support reaction is also W, this support reaction is also W. Now for this, if I draw the shear force diagram, here it is W constant, W down, so it will become 0 here. If I calculate the shear force from this point C to D, here you will get the 0 shear force here. Shear force is 0, like this. Here, so I told you that just move in the direction of the applied forces, you get the shear force diagram. So this is the shear force diagram. Here, now if I draw the bending moment diagram for this, here, so at point A the bending moment is 0, at point D the bending moment is 0, at point C the bending moment is W into L by 3. And at point D also it is W into L by 3. If I draw the shear force, bending moment diagram, the bending moment diagram will be like this. So if you consider this part CD of the beam, here, so this CD part of the beam is subjected to only bending moment and no shear force. This CD part is subjected to only bending moment and no shear force here. Such type of bending moment is, or such type of case is known as a pure bending. So pure bending is the case where the part is subjected to only bending moment and no shear force. Okay, that is known as a pure bending. And while studying here bending stresses, here we are going to derive one formula that is known as the bending equation or flexural formula. These bending stresses are also known as the flexural stresses. Here, don't get confused. Here, bending stresses are the flexural stresses. Here, to calculate that bending stresses and flexural stresses, we are going to derive one formula which is known as the bending equation or flexural formula. Here, and while deriving this formula, we are going to consider here one assumption, and that assumption is that the part is subjected to the pure bending. Okay, the part is subjected to pure bending means we are not considering the effect of the shear force. Here, under these circumstances only we are going to derive that formula when the part is subjected to the pure bending. I hope that it is clear what is meant by pure bending. Understood? Here, so this is one of the assumptions in the deriving the formula, which is also known as the theory of bending. Here, so there are certain assumptions in the theory of bending. Theory of bending, assumptions. If If you refer any book, you will get these assumptions. Here, these assumptions are important. Under these assumptions only we are going to derive that formula. Okay. Yeah, so which are the assumptions? The first assumption is that the part is subjected to the pure bending and we are ignoring the effect of shear. Okay. Here, the beam is subjected to the pure bending and the effect of the shear is neglected. This is the first assumption. Here, from your exam point of view, if you go the previous question papers of the previous years, university question paper, here, most of the time you will find that there is a question, here, derive the bending equation and write the assumptions under which that formula is derived. Yeah, so these assumptions are important from the exam point of view also. So the first assumption is the beam is subjected to the pure bending and the effect of the shear is neglected. The second assumption is that the material of the beam is homogeneous and isotropic. Here, the material of this beam should be homogeneous and isotropic. Here, the material of the beam is homogeneous means here having the same composition in all three directions, in X, Y, and Z direction. The composition of the material should be same. Okay, and isotropic means having the same property in all the direction. Here, जो भी material properties है, that material property should be same in X, Y, and Z direction. Here, so we are going to derive that formula under this assumption that the material should be homogeneous and isotropic. The next assumption, third assumption, is that the modulus of elasticity is same for tension and compression. Okay, modulus of elasticity is same for tension and compression. Here, then fourth assumption is that the material or the beam is loaded within elastic limit. Here the stresses induced are within elastic limit. Okay. Then next assumption is that this the stresses induced here, these are tensile and compressive stresses only. Here the stresses induced are here proportional to the strain here, and the material obeys the Hooke's law. Here means the material is loaded within elastic limit. Here the next assumption is that the cross section, if I consider this cross section, here let's consider here, I'm going to draw once again. Suppose this is the beam before bending, this is its cross section, let it is rectangular here, and because of the loading, let it get compressed like this, sorry, it get bent like this here. So this transverse section or this cross section which is plane before bending should remain plane after bending. Okay, ये जो cross section है, transverse section you can say, this cross section which is plane before bending should remain plane after bending. There should not be any warpage. Here if I consider this as a cross section, तो before bending अगर ये ऐसा है, तो after bending भी ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. यार उसका लोकेशन और एंगल चेंज होगा, but there won't be any warpage like this. यार ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि ये जो क्रॉस सेक्शन है ना, ये इधर कम हुआ और फिर इधर ऐसा कुछ तो भी वार्पेज हो गया उसमें, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए यार. ऐसा बेंड नहीं होना, ऐसा बेंड नहीं होना चाहिए क्रॉस सेक्शन. So cross section which is plane before bending should remain plane after bending. Understood? Yeah. Then this one more assumption is there. The beam initially which is straight, the beam should be initially straight, and after bending, here this is the beam which is made up of number of different layers. Here, so all these layers, transverse layer, these are the now transverse layer. So all these transverse layer before bending should be straight, and after bending they should bend in the form of circular arc. They should bend in the form of circular arc with a common center of curvature. This is the center of curvature. Here, so all these layers should be bent in the form of circle. These are the circular arc with a common center of curvature. Here, center of curvature for this arc and center of curvature for this arc should be same. They should not be different. Here, and this point is known as the center of curvature. Understood? And this distance is known as the radius of curvature. I am coming back to that radius of curvature. Which distance is radius of curvature? Okay, but it is known as the radius of curvature. I hope that all these assumptions are clear, and this point is also clear. Here, what is the radius of curvature? What is the center of curvature? Understood? So, in assumptions, while deriving that, we are assuming that the beam is bent in the form of circular arc here with a common center of curvature. Understood? Here, then how that bending takes place? Okay, let's consider this is the beam. Okay, let's consider this is the beam. So from this C to D part, it is subjected to the pure bending. If I consider the small part of this, here, let this is a small length dx. If I consider this, or let's consider it is any length A, and I have shown it separately. Here, let this is AB. So this is the AB part, which is subjected to the pure bending, whose length is small a. Okay. Now on this part, here let's consider a two section. Let this is PP and let this is QQ. Okay. Let the cross section is rectangular one and this is the centroid. The transverse axis or horizontal axis passing through the centroid is the centroidal axis. Let's consider it as a centroidal axis. Okay. Now on this beam, here let's consider one layer EF. This is one layer EF, which is at a distance of y from this axis. This small distance is y from this axis. Okay. Now when this beam is subjected to the bending moment, now it is subjected to the sagging bending moment. Here this part is subjected to the pure bending whose nature is sagging. Here. Now when it is subjected to the sagging bending moment, here this part get bent like this because of the sagging bending moment. Here this is PP section and this is QQ section. Here let this distance is suppose dx, which is very small distance dx. Okay, this is the axis and this is the layer EF. Let it is E dash F dash. Okay. Now first thing here, this cross section which was plane before bending should remain plane after bending, either here or here. Here, ये ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. It should plane. It should remain plane. Okay. Now in this case, you will observe that. Let I am considering this as a P1 Q1. This point and this point. This layer is P1 Q1 and this layer is P2 Q2. Or here I am writing it as a P1 Q1. Here it is P2 Q2 before bending, and after bending, let it is P1 dash Q1 dash P2 dash Q2 dash. Now you will observe that after bending, here the length of this P dash Q dash get reduced. It gets contracted because of the sagging bending moment. Very simple to imagine. Okay, so it gets contracted because of the sagging bending moment. Now since it gets contracted, I already told you that by any reason, if any component gets contracted, the corresponding stresses, here if it gets contracted, here intramolecular force of force resists that contraction. Here, and because of that, one force of resistance is generated. Here, and because of that, the stresses are induced. Here, always stresses are not induced because of the axial forces only. Yeah. So here, because of the contraction of this layer PQ, here this is the initial length before bending, and this is the final length after bending. Here it gets reduced, clear, and hence in this layer P dash, P1 dash, Q1 dash, the compressive stresses are induced. Clear? Whereas if you observe this P2, Q2, here this length get elongated. It is P2 dash, Q2 dash. This length gets elongated. Yeah. Now, since it gets elongated, this is the increase in length. The nature of the stresses induced in this one are tensile. Understood? Here, so the bending stresses are either tensile or compressive. And we know that the stresses induced in any material is proportional to the elongation and contraction. If one material is elongated more, the more number of stresses will induce. If the elongation is less, less number of stresses are induced. Clear? So here also, if you consider this layer, here, if you go away, the contraction or elongation increases, and hence the nature of the bending stresses will also increases if you go away from this centroidal axis. Here, I'm coming back to that point. Here, but have you understood that how the compressive stresses and tensile stresses are induced? Here, these are the stresses induced because of the bending moment. These are the bending stresses whose nature is compressive or tensile. Next thing. Now, when here this when we move from top to bottom, here these upper layers are in compression, lower layers are in tension. Now, in between these two layers, here when it bend, here upper layer are in compression, lower layer are in tension. In between that two layers, here there is one layer which is neither elongated nor contracted. Okay, this is compression, this is tension. In between this, there is one layer which is neither elongated nor contracted. Here, we are not going to consider a very exaggerated figure, exaggerated bending. Here, in actual mechanical and civil application mein, if any beam or any shaft or component bend like this, we can consider it as a failure. Okay, here, so in actual practice, here in between these two layers, there is one layer, ऐसा एक layer है, which is neither elongated nor contracted. And since it is neither elongated nor contracted, here its length is remains same. Here no stresses are induced in that layer. Here, so that layer, I am talking about the layer. So in this one, there is one layer which is neither in tension nor in compression. Here, this is the layer which is neither contracted nor elongated. This layer is known as the neutral layer. What is that? Neutral layer. So when this component is subjected to the bending moment and when it get bent like this, here or like this, sagging or hugging, whatever it may be. Here in between the extreme layer, there is one layer which is neither elongated nor contracted. There is one layer in which neither there are tensile stresses nor compressive stresses. That layer is known as the neutral layer. Okay. And so neutral layer is one plane. Then the intersection of that neutral layer with this cross section, here there is an intersection of the two different planes. And when there is an intersection of the two different planes, one line is formed. Here, अगर ये vertical plane है और उसके साथ अगर ये horizontal plane अगर intersect होता है तो एक line form होता है. Whenever the two different planes intersect, one line is generated. Here that we have studied in engineering drawing. Okay, so here this is one neutral layer, which is one neutral plane. Here, and the intersection of that neutral layer with the cross section here is one line. Suppose this is the cross section, this is the neutral layer. Okay, then the intersection of this neutral layer with this cross section, here you will get one line, and this line is known as the neutral axis. Here, this is neutral axis and this is neutral layer. Sorry, this is neutral layer. Yeah, which is neither in tension nor in compression. Yeah, intersection of the neutral layer with the neutral axis is known as the, intersection of the neutral layer with the cross section is known as the neutral axis. And since neutral layer is neutral, it is neither elongated nor contracted, here in that one no stresses are induced. Here, that's why at the neutral axis, the bending stresses is always zero. at the neutral axis, the bending stresses are always 0 because that layer is neither elongated nor contracted. Here, that's why at the neutral axis, either का bending stress कितना रहेगा? Bending stress is the force per unit cross sectional area. Okay, so in this layer, how much is the bending stress? It is 0 because it is neither contracted nor elongated. Here, now, if this component, if this cross sectional area is subjected to the sagging bending moment, like this, if it is subjected to the sagging bending moment, all this upper layer of neutral axis are in compression, and all the layer below neutral axis are in tension. Here, ये टेंशन और कंप्रेशन को कौन डिवाइड करता है? दिस न्यूट्रल एक्सिस. Here, neutral axis के अगर if this component is subjected to the sagging bending moment, here the layer above neutral axis are in compression, the layer above below neutral axis are in tension. Here, now when the component is subjected to the hogging bending moment, if it is a hogging bending moment, here so there will also be one neutral axis which is neither in tension nor in compression, where the bending stresses are 0. And if the component is subjected to the hogging bending moment, here all the layers above neutral axis, which kind of stresses will induce here? Unmute yourself and tell me. We did
Tension.
tension. We did
Tensile, tensile,
a
tensile. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay. So the layer above neutral axis are tensile, and below neutral axis are in compression. Okay, remember these are the stresses induced because of the bending moment, not because of any direct force or the axial force. Understood? Here, so bending stresses are also having the same nature, that is the tensile and compressive only. So don't get confused. Okay. Then, is that clear? Neutral axis, neutral layer, here how to identify whether it is a tensile or compressive and all these things. Okay. Now, next important thing what I want to explain you is the moment of resistance. Okay. Moment of resistance. Very important concept, moment of resistance. M dot R dot. Moment of resistance. Now, what is this moment of resistance? Clear? When I explain you about the direct stresses, at the time I told you that the stress is nothing but the internal resisting force per unit area is known as the stress. अब ये internal resisting force क्यों develop होता है? Because of some intramolecular forces of attraction. Here, these are the stresses induced against any deformation. Sorry, these are the forces induced against any deformation, and that force of resistance per unit area is known as the stress. Now, what is this moment of resistance? Here, now name itself indicates that it is the resistance developed or induced in a beam which resists the bending moment. Understood? Here, it is the moment which is induced in a beam which resists the bending moment. Here, now for example, if I consider this beam, now some lateral forces are acting. Whenever some lateral forces are there, the bending moment is induced. Okay, and whenever bending moment is there, here the beam will get bent. Okay, that deflection, ये bending की वजह से भी ये deflect हो जाता है. ये जो deflection है in actual practice it is very less. Here, according to some standards, here it should be within that permissible limit. If it is beyond that permissible limit, we can say that it is fail. Okay, so because of the bending moment, the beam will get bent, and against this bending, here one resistance is developed in that material. Here, that resistance which is developed, which resists that bending, is known as the moment of resistance. So it is a resistance developed inside the material which resists the bending moment is known as the moment of resistance. So when the beam is in equilibrium, here this moment of resistance is equal to the bending moment. क्योंकि ये मोमेंट ऑफ रेजिस्टेंस ये बेंडिंग मोमेंट को रेजिस्ट करता है. यार इफ वी इंक्रीज द लोडिंग, इफ आई गोज ऑन इंक्रीजिंग द लोडिंग, ये लोड अगर इंक्रीज करते गया मैं तो बेंडिंग मोमेंट का मैग्नीट्यूड बढ़ते जाएगा, isn't it? But this material are having some limitations. Yeah, these materials are having some limitations. Here, this moment of resistance can't go beyond certain limit. Okay, and in the case when the bending moment is greater than the moment of resistance, moment of resistance is the property of the material. Moment of resistance does not depend on the loading, whereas the bending moment depends on the loading. Understood? Yeah. So the moment when the moment resisted by the beam or resistance offered by the beam material against movement here is less than the bending moment. Bending moment अगर ज़्यादा हो जाता है, here the beam will fail because of the bending. Here, just 1 minute. Okay, I'm not getting. I will try this only. Okay, so here if I apply some bending moment, here it will get bent, but now it is in equilibrium. इसके अंदर जो मोमेंट ऑफ रेजिस्टेंस डेवलप हुआ वो ये एक्सटर्नल बेंडिंग मोमेंट को बैलेंस कर रहा है. बट इफ आई इंक्रीज द लोड, here if I increase the bending moment, here one step will come when it will break. Why? Because in that case here the moment of resistance which is induced will not balance the external bending moment. Here, so in equilibrium, here the moment of resistance is always equal to the bending moment. Bending moment should not go beyond the moment of resistance. Here, if the bending moment go beyond the moment of resistance, if the value of the bending moment will be more than the moment of resistance, the material will fail. Okay, here, now how to calculate this moment of resistance? Yep. Now let's consider, suppose this is one beam which is subjected to the sagging bending moment. Since it is subjected to the sagging bending moment, if I draw this cross section, this is the cross section, okay? This is the beam. Okay. This is the cross section, okay? Now this one. Here, this is the neutral layer. ये neutral layer है. Cross section of this neutral layer with the cross section, intersection of this neutral layer with the cross section is known as the neutral axis. So this is the neutral axis. Now when it is subjected to the sagging bending moment, here this upper layer are in compression. This upper layer are in compression and this lower layer are in tension. Understood? Now since this upper layer are in compression, here the force of resistance because of this compressive, इसमें force of resistance develop होगा because they are contracted here, and that force of resistance is compressive in nature. This is the force of resistance developed which is compressive in nature. And in this layer one force of resistance is developed which is tensile in nature. These are the forces of resistance which are developed in the layers. Okay. Then if I take the moment of all these forces about this neutral axis, here I will get one moment. Here, and this moment here, which is the moment developed by this force of resistance, is known as the moment of resistance. Here, which balance the external applied bending moment. Here, these are the forces of resistance. Here, if I take the moment of that, here about the neutral axis, here we'll get the moment of resistance. And in equilibrium, this moment of resistance is equal to the bending moment. Remember this. Here, while solving the sum, most of the time we are going to use this. Here, moment of resistance is equal to the external applied bending moment. Okay. Here, so in some questions, it is also asked to find out how much moment is resisted by the flange, or how much moment is resisted by the cross section. Here, so one method is that you can calculate the force of resistance, and you can take the moment of that force of resistance about the neutral axis. You will get the moment of resistance. Understood? Here, so this moment of resistance, here last definition is moment of resistance is nothing but the maximum permissible bending moment. Okay, it is the maximum permissible bending moment on the cross section is known as the moment of resistance. Here, moment of resistance is equal to the bending moment. या कि अगर आपको ये बीम है सपोज, इफ यू नो ऑल द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ दैट मटेरियल, here actually in this beam there are two different materials. Here when two different materials are joined together to enhance the bending capacity, here that type of beam is known as a flitch beam. That also we have to study. Okay, but that will study after the or test. Here flitch beam we are not going to take in the test, flitch beam later. Here when two different materials are combined together to enhance the bending capacity. Here most of the time you can observe that here if the beam for old buildings, here the material strength is weakened here because of the time period. In that case, if you want to strengthen that, here what we normally do, here we give some support. Here इसको support देते हैं, कुछ तो भी कुछ स्टील का एंगल लगाते हैं या स्टील का आई बीम लगाते हैं to give it the support. Yeah, so that concrete and the steel, suppose this is the concrete और उसको अगर स्टील का सपोर्ट दिया to increase the bending capacity, here this becomes the flitch beam which is made up of the two different materials. Here that also we have to study. Okay, so come back to the moment of resistance. Moment of resistance is nothing but the resistance offered by the material against bending is known as the moment of resistance. Here in equilibrium, moment of resistance equal to the bending moment. Here how we can calculate the moment of resistance? We can calculate the forces of resistance and we can take the moment couple produced by that forces of forces of resistance is known as the moment of resistance. Here we'll solve the sum like this also. Again by another method also I will explain you how to calculate the moment of resistance. We'll match that both the answers here so that your concept will be clear about the moment of resistance. Here now in tomorrow's lecture, here I'm going to explain you the bending equation. Bending equation, okay, which is very important from your exam point of view for solving the sums also. Okay, here, but before that, today, okay, you go through the previous lectures, here initial lectures, second, third lectures, or refer the books here and solve the sums on moment of inertia. Here, because while solving the sum, I'm not going to explain you how to calculate the moment of inertia. Here, I will write it directly. Okay, so go through that and be comfortable about the moment of inertia. Here, thank you. Write your names and roll numbers in the chat box. Here, I'll give the 2 minutes here now for the attendance. Thank you. Tomorrow,
Hello?
same time. Huh.
So, what is your portion for exam?
Exam, I told you the CO1 stress strain. Complete stress strain, complete. Here temperature, stresses and everything. Okay, CO2, SFD, BMD. To draw the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram, here excluding the beam with an internal hinges. Okay, and CO3, bending stresses. Bending stresses excluding flitch beam. इनिशियल पार्ट क्लियर, जितना होगा फ्राइडे तक उतना सब रहेगा बेंडिंग स्ट्रेसेस का. ओके, हियर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज ऑन स्ट्रेस स्ट्रेंथ फॉर 7 मार्क्स, सेकंड क्वेश्चन ऑन एसएफडी बीएमडी 6 मार्क्स, थर्ड क्वेश्चन इज ऑन बेंडिंग स्ट्रेसेस 6 मार्क्स. हियर so total 20. Okay, some options will be there definitely. Then out of that 20, here 8 marks for the MCQ. 8 marks MCQ. Okay, and 12 marks numerical questions. Numerical questions. Here you have to solve and submit. Okay, this will be the pattern almost for all the subjects. Here, for few subjects there will be maybe not only 2 CO. Here, but for strength of material there will be the 3 CO, including bending stresses. Any doubt? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, continuously there will be lectures of strength of material because we have to finish this bending stresses before the test. Yeah. One thing. Second thing, if it is not possible to get the time in this or regular schedule, where I may ask you to come for the extra lectures after 3 o'clock or before 9 o'clock also. Okay, is it okay? Let me know if you have any difficulty. Let me know right now. Is it okay if I take the extra lectures? किसी को कुछ डाउट है क्या? डिफिकल्टी है क्या? इनफैक्ट, is there any difficulty to conduct the online extra lectures? Okay, so I will declare and I will conduct the extra lectures if required. Okay, and required rahega hi, because now this syllabus we have to finish. We have to finish the practicals also. University circular is there. Conduct the practicals also. Don't know how to conduct the practicals, but virtual practicals will conduct here. Or for strength of material, I will show you the demonstration for all the actual practicals, and I will provide you the readings so that you can complete your journals and submit it. Okay, thank you. Write your names and roll number in the chat box.